We're going to beat this. You know, your immune system is an incredibly powerful thing.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Trailblazing Women, a new series profiling inspiring, visionary, and dynamic women who are leading the way and making a difference in their communities, fields of expertise, and in the lives of others. I'm Sandra Maas with the Women's Museum of California, and today my guest is Dr. Ollmann Saphire, a renowned biologist, immunologist, and professor at the Jolla Institute for Immunology. Dr. Saphire is heading up a mission to conquer COVID-19, leading an international team of scientists to find antibodies to treat the deadly virus that has upended the world. The project was kickstarted with an almost $2 million grant from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and there's the potential for millions more. This isn't Dr. Saphire's first fight with the deadly virus. She achieved a major breakthrough in the battle against the Ebola virus that ravaged West Africa more than a decade ago. Her work during that crisis is helping scientists come up with new treatments to fight Ebola. And now the goal is to do the same for COVID-19. No pressure there. Dr. Saphire, thank you so much for your time. I cannot imagine what it is like to be you right now in this crazy environment. Not only are you a top scientist, but you have two school-age children and a husband that probably haven't seen you in a very long time. What is your life like right now?
Well, it takes a lot of coffee right now, and my family hasn't seen me. It's getting done what is asked of us is a 12 to 18 hour workday, and I feel like we're just keeping our heads above water. There's responsibility on our plate, and it needs to work, and it needs to work fast.
What, give us an idea about what a day in the La Jolla Institute of Immunology is like. How many scientists are in there? You're all collaborating, trying to come up with a treatment for this deadly virus. What's the vibe inside?
Well, it's focused really, but we're just focused on what we need to get done. And so my laboratory of about 30 people have spread ourselves out the day and through the week. We have people that start at 6 a.m. We have people that take the 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. shift, just to make sure the research keeps ticking around while keeping the bodies socially distanced. And when we work in the lab, we're all wearing masks and getting it done.
Yeah, getting it done. So when did this pandemic get on your radar? I think, you know, the whole world was slow to react, but the epidemiologists and doctors I've talked to in the past, Dr. Jolla Salk, I was lucky enough to interview early in my career. His biggest fear was another pandemic. Is this something that immediately alarmed you?
Any novel emerging virus has the potential to become big. And so I remember for Ebola, when we saw that it was in a city, that was a concern. We first started hearing about this virus in those small clusters of cases of pneumonia, sort of around the end of the year. And then the new virus was released. We saw it was a coronavirus. And the trouble with coronavirus is that we've seen with SARS, we've seen with MERS, these spread. These respiratory infections do spread from one person to another, and they can travel when a person goes from one site to another. And so we were concerned, and our concern grew as we saw how quickly it spread in Wuhan and Hubei, and the severity of the lockdown needed there.
How surprised were you, or maybe you weren't surprised at all, when you got the call from the Gates Foundation that they were going to be giving you $2 million to work in collaboration with other scientists around the world to come up with an antibody treatment that could save lives?
Well, that was a gradual process. So I ran a similar consortium to find treatments for Ebola virus in that outbreak. And so the first calls from the foundation were to say, well, what did you learn from building that consortium that you would tell someone to apply here? And what would you do again? And what would you do better? And what would you do differently? And how would you set this up? And I thought I was just providing information for their effort. And then they asked me if I would run it. And it was sobering because I knew what it would take, and I knew the family dinners that were gone, and I had a Fulbright to go travel this year, and that's gone. And so many other research projects on other pandemic viruses have now been shelved to make sure that this one gets the attention that it needs.
So, Dr. Saphire, you must have the weight of the world on your shoulders right now.
It's a lot, but you know what? There's a lot of people that are struggling. There are people that have lost their jobs, or people that have lost their loved ones, or people that are struggling to get better. I'm healthy. My job's secure right now. You know, a pandemic virologist in a pandemic, that's fine. We got to get this work done.
Well, let's talk about the treatment itself, using antibodies, a person's own immune system to fight the virus. How does that work, and what kind of a timetable can we expect something like this to be available to the general public?
So antibody therapy has been used for a number of infectious disease. We have antibody therapies that find and kill cancer cells that are too small for any surgery to find. We have antibody therapies that control an overactive immune response in rheumatoid arthritis. What we're doing here is making sure that by finding antibodies, we can give someone immediate immunity to SARS-CoV-2. This is important because even when a vaccine is available, well, first we're going to wait a year or two for that vaccine to become available. And so we need something in the meantime, right? No one's immune, no one's safe. Even when that vaccine is available, it won't be available in all places at all times. The world's a big place. There's a lot of locations to get those doses of vaccine to. There are also people that can't be vaccinated, babies, pregnant women, people with underlying immune conditions. We need to protect them too. And so my job is to figure out which of the many antibody therapies being raised by different companies and university laboratories around the world are the best, and make sure that we can make them affordable to anybody that needs them.
You know, we've heard so much bad news, and there's been so much fear surrounding this situation that the world is falling apart, really. What good news do you have? Are you hopeful? Do you go to bed at night thinking that you're going to solve a problem, at least in terms of a treatment, fairly soon? Or do you stay up at night worried about that?
What makes me hopeful is the number of scientists and types of scientists that are now working on this problem. There are 90 different vaccine efforts. There are well over 50 different groups trying to make antibody therapies. There are even more trying to come up with drugs. And with that many shots on goal, something's going to connect. Mm-hmm. And with so many complementary routes to protection, we are going to get there, and we will be able to control the virus. That's what gives me hope.
You know, you really are just a modern day trailblazing woman. I really enjoyed reading in the San Diego Union Tribune about all your accomplishments and this latest monumental task that you have embraced. What has it been like for you to be in science, to be in biology, focusing on immunology as a woman? Are there a lot of women contemporaries that you have? And what's it like to be a woman in that line of work?
Yeah, I don't have a lot of contemporaries. I think maybe 20% of faculty are women. And, oh God, I could talk to you for hours about that.
We don't have hours, but you can, you can tell.
You know, sometimes you're underestimated, and sometimes people have stereotypical ideas, but you got a lot of strengths that you can use. You know, if you're more organized, you can build a consortium no one ever built before. If you communicate better, you can put more scientists on the same page and figure out what are your concerns, what are your needs, let's make this work. If you are trusted, you can put people on the same page to do, you know, scientists fundamentally want to share and they want to do the right thing, and we're all in global health because we want to help people. And if you have those stereotypically feminine skills of inspiring trust and communicating and organizing people and working with people well, you can do something that no man has done.
Did you have some role models or mentors along the way, and were they in the field of medicine, women that supported you?
I've had a few. You know, the most important one is my mom. She's a very wise and graceful woman who always knows exactly what the right thing to do and say is and puts things in perspective. And, you know, when I was distressed about going back to work and putting my newborn kids in daycare, she said, well, you just got to have a little talk with yourself and, you know, What were you put on this earth to do? And after your 25 years of education, are you going to do it?
Right.
And the other part of that talk is, how are you going to put food on the table? Where's your health insurance going to come from? They will always know your mom. They will always love you. You were put on this earth to do a little more than that.
How did you get your confidence and your poise? Was it just hard fought and hard earned, or was it something that came naturally to you?
It's from being on a mission, from knowing what the world needed and having a plan to get it done. And any young person will get a lot of no and a lot of, well, you can't do that. And just be persistent. And if you are right, hang in there. And eventually someone's going to see it. And if it's not this person, someone else. Someone's going to put a wall in your way. You go around it. You find someone else. I've been told no so many times. And you just get persistent and you come up with a spreadsheet and you convince them and you find out what you need and you get to yes, or you take a different route and you go down a different path and you find a world of yes there.
Mm-hmm. How do you rally yourself when things go wrong? Because I think they say in science that 99% of the time things don't pan out and only a small fraction of the time they do. There's a lot of rejection, isn't there?
There's a lot of rejection. I don't know, you just pick yourself up and move on. It's there's a lot of failure in research. Now, if it worked the first time, we just call it search. When you got to do it over and over again, it's called research. There's a lot of, you have to try experiments 1,000 times before one works. You will submit your paper to 4 journals before it is accepted. Every single step of the way, there's constructive criticism, and you accept it, you learn from it, you move on. Mm-hmm. And anytime someone has said your idea won't work because, you take that feedback, you make your plan better, you go back. We're going to beat this. You know, your immune system is an incredibly powerful thing. By designing vaccines with the best tools that humanity has ever had, and with timelines that people are compressing with bureaucratic red tape just moved out of the way, and antibody therapies that we now know how to make that we never had before, we are going to beat this. The human brain is so much better than any little virus.
Dr. Erica Ollmann Saphire, thank you so much for your time. We are all rooting for you and the team of researchers who are working so hard to try to get us out of that big mess. So thank you so much for your time and best of luck to you.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching. We'll be back with another edition of Trailblazing Women soon. For the Women's Museum of California, I'm Sandra Maas.